Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The migration crisis on Poland's eastern border has weakened in recent weeks as many migrants have returned from Belarus to their home countries. The inflow of new migrants has practically stopped and the Polish border defence has been strengthened significantly. Nevertheless, there are still thousands of migrants in the country, with hundreds of them still housed by the Belarusian regime in a logistics centre near the Polish border. Sleeping on mattresses in a Belarusian warehouse, hundreds of Middle Eastern migrants are still clinging to the hope of a future in Western Europe as the year draws to a close. Staff and volunteers at the International Organization for Migration are working to register people willing to go back. But some are reluctant to do so, having spent thousands of dollars to get this far.
The International Organization for Migration is here today to register migrants who are willing to return voluntarily to their original countries. Today we started the process of registration. We think we will register around 10 migrants who are interested to return today. After the registration, we have buses which will take them back to Minsk, where we will continue the process of their travel.
The nearly 600 migrants from countries including Iraq, Turkey, Iran and Syria are among thousands who flew to Belarus this year and tried to cross the border into Poland.
There are still areas where migrants need more support, mainly food continuous. We can see the temperature is going down. More and more we see around us a lot of kids, child who need some support with education and definitely shelter. So we are working to increase the efforts to supply all those needs.
Yuri Kare, a Belarusian presidential aide, said those who had declined the offer of homeward flights were still bent on getting to Europe. If any wanted to stay in Belarus, they must understand that there are no employment benefits here, so people have to work for a living, he said. Russian President Vladimir Putin has stated that Germany giving the green light for the Nordstream 2 undersea gas pipeline to start operations would help to calm the surge in European gas prices. Russia could increase gas deliveries through Ukraine, but prefers to try to force the new German government and the European Union to use Nord Stream 2 instead. Nord Stream 2, completed in September but awaiting regulatory approval from Germany and the European Union, faces resistance from the United States and several countries including Poland and Ukraine, which say it will increase Russia's leverage over Europe. The pipeline had been scheduled to be completed in 2019, but construction was suspended following the threat of sanctions by the United States administration of Donald Trump. Putin said on Wednesday the second stretch of the twin pipeline has been filled with gas. As soon as they've decided to start the work, Europe will start to receive an additional amount of Russian gas. Let me remind you, this is 55 billion cubic meters per year. The certification of the link along the bed of the Baltic Sea from Russia to Germany is not expected before the end of the first half of 2022. This, for sure, will have an immediate impact on the price on the market, the spot price. And all the countries and the consumers in those countries that consume Russian gas will feel it themselves. Some politicians and experts have blamed Russia for restraining its gas exports as the wait continues for regulatory approval, and a broader standoff with the West plays out over Ukraine, which fears that Moscow will launch a military invasion. Despite the energy crisis, Germany will go ahead with its plan to pull the plug on 3 of its 6 remaining nuclear power stations tomorrow. The new government is determined to take another step towards completing its withdrawal from nuclear power as it turns its focus to renewable energy sources. The government decided to speed up its phasing out of nuclear power following Japan's Fukushima reactor meltdown in 2011, when an earthquake and tsunami destroyed the coastal plant in the world's worst nuclear disaster since Chernobyl 25 years earlier. The reactors of Brockdorf, Grönde and Grundremmingen C will be shut down on Friday after 3.5 decades in operation. The last 3 nuclear power plants will be turned off by the end of 2022. Ecological activists hail it as a big step forward. The nuclear phase-out has been an issue close to Bonn's heart for decades, because for us the technology is simply too risky. And today's situation makes it even clearer that it is really important that we get out of this somewhat unsafe, expensive, unsustainable technology. That's why we're really happy that a few reactors will be shut down at the end of the year and that the nuclear phase-out will be almost complete next year. The 6 nuclear power plants contributed around 12% of electricity production in Germany in 2021. BDEW preliminary figures showed. The shares of renewable energy was almost 41%, with coal generating just under 28% and gas around 15%. The 3 reactors will be shut down at the end of this year: Brockdorf, Grönde and Gundrömingen. At the end of 22, it will be the Emsland reactor, the Isar 2 and the Neckarls-Westheim 2. These 3 will be the last reactors to be shut down, and then the nuclear phase-out will in principle be complete. But we have to say that there will still be uranium enrichment plants in Germany, like the one in Gronau. There are fuel element factories like Lingen, and there are also a research reactor in Garching that still works with weapons-grade uranium. Total costs for the dismantling are estimated at €1.1 billion per plant. The dismantling is expected to be completed by 2040. The British socialite Gilly Maxwell was found guilty by a US jury yesterday of helping the late financier Jeffrey Epstein to sexually abuse teenage girls. Maxwell was convicted on 5 of the 6 counts she faced. Maxwell, 60, was accused of recruiting and grooming 4 teenagers for Epstein between 1994 and 2004. Her former boyfriend Epstein allegedly killed himself in 2019 in a Manhattan jail cell while awaiting trial on sex abuse charges of his own. Maxwell dated Epstein for several years in the 1990s, when the pair attended high society parties and travelled on luxurious private jets.
A unanimous jury has found Ghislaine Maxwell guilty of one of the worst crimes imaginable: facilitating and participating in the sexual abuse of children, crimes that she committed with her longtime partner and co-conspirator, Jeffrey Epstein. The road to justice has been far too long, but today, justice has been done. I want to commend the bravery of the girls, now grown women, who stepped out of the shadows and into the courtroom.
Maxwell could be sentenced to up to 70 years in prison for the 6 counts she faced in this trial. Maxwell's attorneys argued she was being used as a scapegoat for Epstein and sought to portray the accounts of her 4 accusers as not credible, saying their memories had been corrupted over the decades. Maxwell's legal team say that they will appeal. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.